Hello, ladies and gentlemen, girls and boys. You are now entering Season 2 of the Swan Hockey Podcast. Swan Hockey is flying around the junior hockey world one episode at a time. You'll experience things dreams are made of, as well as things of terrible nightmares. Strap in, hold on, and enjoy the ride. And now, Swan Hockey.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Swan Hockey Season 2. I am Eric Swanick, and today we are joined for the first time on Season 2, my best friend forever, Andrew Serpico from Neutral Zone. He's the Assistant Director of U.S. Scouting for Neutral Zone. Andrew, welcome back. Season 2, first time.
Hey, how are ya? You forgot an important part of the introduction.
What's the important part?
The best NHL player that you've had as a guest of all guests.
I know we still didn't do that. We gotta get RC back on here.
We're gonna get that right out the hop.
I called
Number
him,
one.
I called him today. Guy didn't answer.
He doesn't want the smoke. He's nervous. He's trying to send me against a schmoes. He won't even answer your phone call.
Might not be able to handle the smoke.
Oh, I can't handle the smoke.
Yeah, we'll have to hit him. We'll have to hit him back up. We had some pretty cool artwork submitted in the Discord for if this game. We got to make this game happen. I was going to say if this game happens, but we got to make it happen.
Let's back up. The artwork is bad because the losing, like whoever loses gets the cooler artwork.
Yeah, the loser's kind of the winner in this situation.
Yeah. CDs, so like after RC gets wiped, he gets the cooler artwork.
It is. Yeah. The loser artwork is better, I think.
Yeah. Respectfully, of course, incredible artwork on both sides, but.
Yeah. No, it was pretty cool to see that submitted in the Discord. Yeah. Speaking of Discord, guys, feel free to. We want to hear from you in the Discord. Let us know what you think of these episodes. Weigh in on the topics. We also have added a ask a question tab to the swanhockey.com site where you can submit a question to the show. Maybe we will touch on it, but yeah, let's dive into this. So probably about, what was it? Probably like a week ago, I was talking to Serps on the phone one morning. And I mentioned this in an episode, I think it was last week with Ryan Swain. But I was talking to Serps on the phone one morning last week, and we're just talking about hockey like we usually do. And I said I would be very interested to know how many current NHL players ran around the country chasing as a youth player. We see all these youth players these days where, grass is always greener, running around, playing here, playing there, different spot every year or whatnot. And, billeting at young ages and all this other stuff, just chasing. I said, I'd be curious to know how many NHL players did that versus played at home, lived a pretty normal life, well-rounded life. And I was interested. And then about, I don't know, maybe 4 hours goes by. Serps calls me or texts me and is like, all right, I'm done with 4 teams. Here's what we got. I'm like, done with 4 teams of what? He's like, what were you talking about this morning? He's like, I got spreadsheets. And now we're seeing why he's the Assistant Director of U.S. Scouting for Neutral Zone. He's since got everything done. So, Andrew, I'm going to give it to you. Let's hear the data. What did you find?
Well, we were having a conversation because we were talking about how crazy it is, how like in youth hockey, junior hockey, the amount of player movement is absolutely wild. And we were kind of wondering, does it actually work? So that got the brain spinning. And I went through every NHL rostered player this year. And I took just the Americans, which was, I think it was 216 Americans. And I went into their youth hockey history to see their movement, kind of where they're from, where they ended up playing, just to kind of track some things and see, like, there's extenuating circumstances on some players that, their dad coached in the NHL, so they follow their family.
I'm sorry. What is that from? Extenuating circumstances? Is that Billy Madison?
I don't know. It just sounded good in the moment. It might not even make sense.
I think it was really bad. It's extenuating circumstance or something. I don't know. I feel like it's from something. Sorry, go ahead.
EA Search stands for Encyclopedia and Serps.
Yep, EA Serps in the Discord.
Yep, Encyclopedia Serps. So now I'm using big words. I'm forgetting where I'm going. So there's obviously,
I think, is that how you say it?
There's different reasons for players to kind of move around the country or go to different places, financial reasons, family reasons, whatever it is. But there's also some just crazy parents that travel and chase for absolutely no reason. So the goal of this project was to see if it all the way at the top, what it looked like for players that actually made it to the NHL, if they were team chasing or whatnot. And I wouldn't say I was completely shocked with the data, but I was definitely, it was interesting. I personally thought the numbers were going to be way higher than they were. And I was almost shocked to find out how minimal the answer was. This is just for Americans, by the way. I didn't go into the Canadians. I don't, they're a different breed of human beings. So just the numbers were minimal, and I don't know what you wanted me to get into first or what, but there's definitely some interesting stories and situations for sure.
Well, I guess let's start with how many guys did you find out of the Americans that I guess were playing out of state, or how'd you do? Was it what was your barrier, playing out of state, over state lines?
Essentially, it was out of state lines. Like if there's players from California, if they move to Michigan or New Jersey, they move to Ohio to play. But there's also some stipulations to that. Like Jake Sanderson, for example, is from Montana. And there's no hockey in Montana. Like if your state doesn't have like developmental resources, essentially, if you're not from a traditional hockey state and you move somewhere for that, I didn't count it. Like Jake Sanderson from Montana played up in Canada, went to the national program. Ryan Hartman's I think he's from Hilton Head, South Carolina. He moved to Chicago to play for the Mission. Tage Thompson, he moved around. There's a couple players like that. The Kachuk brothers, they were born in Arizona, but Big Walt was playing in St. Louis, so they grew up in St. Louis. So there's different situations like that I didn't count. So if you take those guys away, there was about 8 or 9 players total, 8 or 9 American players total in the NHL that I considered to be almost team chasers. It was
That's
definitely,
crazy.
I was pretty shocked too. It was pretty cool to learn some things, just not even players that made it all the way to the NHL that never even left their state.
How many of those did you find, or did you not tally those?
I did not tally those, but I could tell you off the top of my head, Zach Werenski, I think him and Larkin grew up playing together in Michigan. Both play. I want to say it was Caesars or Bell Tire. I don't remember off the top of my head. Played for the national program in Ann Arbor, played for the University of Michigan. Then Larkin's still playing with Detroit, and Werenski ended up going to play for the Blue Jackets in Ohio. But they never left. It's unbelievable.
That's awesome.
It's literally unbelievable that I know it's Michigan, it's a traditional hockey market, but you can literally play from youth to the NHL and never have to leave your state.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's crazy. So there's about 8 or 9 guys in the NHL that would fit the definition, at surface level of team chaser or whatnot. And that's honestly, I thought it was going to be more. Like that number surprises me. I thought it was going to be more. I thought there was going to be a good amount of guys that stayed local and played local throughout their careers, before it was time to go off to, whether, CHL or USHL or NCAA.
Oh, one more stipulation.
9 surprises me.
One more stipulation on those numbers is the Michigan kids, because those guys switch from Honey Bake to Caesars to Bell Tire to CompuWare, all every year they're switching teams. I didn't count that because they're all local teams. But there's a decent amount of those players too.
Yeah, and sorry, go ahead.
Local law enforcement.
Law enforcement. Anybody else know what that's from, or is it just us?
It's probably just us.
Probably Toy Story people.
Yeah.
The claw. But these numbers are eye opening because I think that's one thing that I've, been very supportive of is players living as normal of a life as possible. There's a lot of opportunity in hockey and youth hockey and junior hockey, but I think some people drown in opportunity where there's so much and there's so many options, but they don't realize that, hey, you know what, like what you need is right here. Like you don't have to go explore all that. You don't have to go, sail in the 7 seas looking for something that's going to work. Like you got something probably right in your own backyard for many, many kids. And, and some guys don't, like you said, they live in, some non-traditional markets and stuff. They, they have no choice. They kind of got to get out at a certain point. But I think there's a lot of players, a lot of families that drown in opportunity and lose sight of the fact that the thing that matters most, and I always say it, performance is king. It's your performance. The one thing that all these players have in common is they're ridiculously good at hockey. They don't have a program in common. They don't have, they don't have geography in common. The only thing they have in common is they're very, very good at hockey.
Yeah. I say so. I mean, like of these 9 that we're counting, 2 of them I would say are like, one of them is the legitimate superstar. The other one is a star, but like the other guys are just like average to below average NHL players.
Right. Yeah. So yeah.
You don't have to be a superstar. Like I don't know.
Well, it's just so interesting. And I know there's going to be a lot of people out there that are going to, rebut some of this and, maybe say, well, hey, like, a lot of these programs that kids are leaving for haven't been around, haven't been around that long and yada, yada, yada. But it's like, hey, okay, like, yeah, there's some truth to that. But at the same time, like, you want to be the guinea pig? Like, yeah, okay, like, do you? Like, I mean, who am I to judge? I'm not going to judge. But I just think that this is very important because I think there's a ton of value to a kid, living as normal of a life as possible throughout this whole process and being well-rounded and, and going to school and having friends outside of hockey and all that other stuff. And I'm not taking anything away from any one program, right? This isn't about saying like a certain group of programs aren't worth it or anything. We're talking about geography here related to your own, to your own home base, right? We're not talking about certain programs. We're not putting anybody down. We're talking about geography here and just kind of, again, just local and living a pretty normal life throughout this process and just probably a lot less stress than a lot of people make this.
Pretty much where you're from, except for certain, like some locations like Montana, is probably going to be good enough. With the videos, like the video ability we have now to scout and watch players, like we're going to see every single team. Like there's really not unless again, there's financial or family reasons, like that's, nobody's business, but there's no reason to go from California or Minnesota to play for the Pens Elite. Like you're going to play for the junior, the LA Junior Kings, the Anaheim Ducks. Like you're going to be seen regardless of the level. You don't need to go to Pittsburgh. You don't need to go play for the Mission. Like you can be fine where you are.
Yeah, there's so much great opportunity out there, which makes it where everybody's got something relatively close to them in their own backyard, and that's where I think like there needs to be a reshift of focus for a lot of families. Instead of trying to figure out, instead of trying to problem solve, like, hey, where's the yellow brick road? Where do I got to go for this to click? The focus should be, how do I improve my skill? What do I have to do skill wise to get this to click? Like everybody looks at it from the wrong perspective, in my opinion. There's a lot of people looking at it through the wrong perspective. The problem isn't where do I go to make it click? The problem is how do I get my skill set to the level it needs to be at for it to click?
Yeah. Yeah. Just be the best at where you are. you have the resources, you have the abilities. Just you want to be the best where you are before you're moving on to something you may not even need to move on to.
Yeah, and
that makes sense.
Yeah, 100%. And like a lot of my opinion is that all these other things away from the rink outside of hockey that are, living a normal life, I think that translates into you having more success on the ice, because like I don't too much of anything's not good, right? Like it can't be 24/7 hockey. And I think, and again, that's where I think, trying to think of the right way to explain this, cause it's not that all these programs are 24/7 hockey, but I just think that you lose a lot of your normal life sometimes, with some of these situations that these players go to. And I just think it's unnecessary. I think being balanced will wind up giving you a better output on the ice.
Are you telling me that 7-year-olds shouldn't be flying around in June with parachutes on their back?
No, except them. That's necessary.
I think that's what we need. Need more of that.
Yeah. Getting ready for the full Ice Might showcases.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what you need.
Yeah. I love like when young players' parents will ask me like, how does my kid get better at hockey? Like, what does he have to do training? Like we're going to go, we got this camp, that camp during summer. I'm like, how old is he? Like, oh, he's 8. I'm like, oh, you want to get better at hockey? Like, yeah. I'm like, go play baseball. Like, what?
Play baseball?
I'm like, go do something else. Go play soccer. Go play baseball. Like, like it's not time yet to, become an athlete. And then if you want to apply it to hockey full time one day, great. But become an athlete.
Yeah, absolutely. There is one slight part of the data that people are going to rebut, but it's only one person. Okay. And he probably will go as the greatest American hockey player of all time, at least to this point. But Patrick Kane he's from Buffalo, and he did leave to go play for Honey Baked when he was like 15 years old. Even though Buffalo would be a traditional hockey market, I counted him as a crazy because it worked. It worked. Don't get me wrong.
That's it. Whole episode. Garbage.
But literally he's like the only one on this list that like moved the needle.
And not for nothing, but like, if he didn't do that, do we really believe that he was going to be garbage and never make it?
No, like, absolutely not.
You know what I'm saying? Like that even just kind of like proves the point, like even more. Like, if he stays,
maybe Van Riemsdyk goes first overall and Kane goes second. Who knows?
Yeah, Van Riemsdyk, who played at home, by the way, everybody.
Yeah,
until it's time to go to the NTDP.
High school in New Jersey to the NTDP.
Yep, and Brick Hockey Club AA.
AA hockey, way different than Minnesota AA hockey, which is legitimate hockey. AA hockey in New Jersey, back in God knows when, I don't remember when that was not very good. I mean, it wasn't bad. It wasn't bad because there wasn't a ton of AAA around. But you go from Brick AA to playing at CBA, New Jersey High School, to the national team. You're going drafted second overall. Kid never left, never had to leave until he went played for the national team.
Yeah, absolutely. And for everybody that is going to rebut it with Patrick Kane saying, "Oh, well, hey, that's what he did." My question to you guys is, do you really think that if he doesn't do that, he's not in the NHL? I mean, so like it's just so interesting. Like I just think the whole thing is it's just so interesting.
Yeah. 1,000%. It's the numbers were a little shocking. I thought, like I said, like we've said multiple times in this entire situation, I thought they were going to be much higher. That like it worked, but I don't know if it works. And this is obviously going to change, especially with like the hockey landscape now, especially because of how many people are moving and doing it. It's just the numbers are bound to eventually work out. But right now it's not the case, even though it kind of seems like a good idea.
Yeah, and I wonder if the numbers will change drastically in a few years, right? Like I really wonder if they will.
I think they almost have to, because the amount of players that are moving around at this point, like, you're still going to have really good players that are going to make it to the NHL. It's just a cone, right? And kids that are moving around that are good enough are going to be seen. So it's going to happen. I don't know if it's going to change dramatically, but I think it'll increase, slightly at least over the next few years.
Yeah, I could definitely say. I mean, it could kind of only increase. I mean, 9's like nothing.
Yeah, 9 is nothing, exactly. And 9 is literally nothing.
Yeah, like it's crazy. I mean, and like, why don't you talk a little bit about it from like your point of view? Like, so you and your guys are scurrying the country every year looking at pretty much everybody, I'm assuming, right? Like, I mean,
yeah.
Like, why don't you talk a little bit about, I mean, how many reports have you written on players just this season already?
Give me 1 second. I'll tell you the exact answer. It is 683.
That's insane. And that's just you. That's not like your whole team. Like, that's just you personally.
Yeah, that is just me. I mean, our team, the numbers are obviously much higher than that. We've been going since early August. But yeah, no, we're at it every weekend, pretty much even during the week. But it's difficult. What the thing that I struggle with is, you see a kid playing for like Team Illinois last year, and you remember him. He's kind of seared in the brain, and then next year you see him, he's playing for the LA Junior Kings, and you're like, what? Why are we doing it? Now, I don't think there's a specific player that actually did that. I'm just picking 2 names out of a hat.
Yeah.
But it's just it's confusing. It's like, why are we doing this? Sometimes kids are moving. Like last year, the Chicago Mission U15s were loaded, absolutely loaded. And there's kids moving from all around the country that are stars at their team they're playing for. Then they go play for the Mission. They're third, fourth line guys. And it's tougher to see what that player is all about because they're not in their role. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and they're not playing as much. Like, I said it in a previous episode, you can't get scouted from the bench, right? So if you're,
exactly.
To Serp's point here, if you're a top player somewhere on a very good team and you're going to leave to go to that stacked team, and now you're going to play third line instead of first line, even though you may be on a better team, people aren't going to see you as much because you're on the bench. What good does it be being on the better team? The question everybody has to be asking themselves right now in my mind is skill development. How do we do that? Not how do we, not how do we find this yellow brick road to the top, because it doesn't exist. It's about become the best player you can. It's almost, I said this in a previous episode, and I use this word lightly, but race. It's a race to get your skill level to the NHL level as quick as possible. That's the name of the game. Become an NHL skill set player. If you could do that, you're pretty set.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, I'll see the same team, just for example, you see the same team 4 or 5 times a year, and you kind of, you're recognizing the top guys, and you're, try to actively look at the third and fourth line to see what kind of action you have there. But the minimal play time they're getting, because, the games are close and they're just not getting ice time, it's tough to depict. So it's tough to write on those guys, or create a report and understand characteristics of a player when they're not playing, or not, like I said, not in their role. Like, it's some players can adapt and make it work, but it's unless you're playing at a higher level, it's tough to do that. Kids don't want to buy in. Like, I was listening to Billy Guerin at Chicklets the other day, and he's talking about how, picking the Olympic team, we're going to have power play guys playing penalty kill, and guys are going to have different roles, and they're just going to they will buy in because they have to. It's easy to do that if you're going to go play for your country, especially in the Olympics. But you ask a 15-year-old kid who was playing power play his whole life and on the first line, like, hey, you're going to kill penalties and play in the third line. That kid may fold and not be who he is. He's not going to have confidence. It's going to be tough to. You're not going to like bury the kid, but it's tough to see what he's about.
Right. And you want to be able to problem solve. You want to be able to face adversity, but you don't want to inflict the adversity on yourself. You don't want to inflict, like, a lot of people's problems wind up being self-inflicted, and you don't want to put yourself in that position if you don't have to. And it leads me into my next point, because the problem solving is very, very important. And I think there's a lot of players that are chasing greener grass and they wind up not being able to learn how to deal with adversity and work through tough situations, because when things get tough, they just run somewhere else. And you have to be able to fight through adversity. You have to be able to problem solve. You have to be able to work through tough situations. Those are all characteristics that are going to help you ultimately make it to the extremely high levels.
And I feel like the players that made it to the high levels, there's a very minimal amount. I don't have the data on this, but there's a very minimal amount that didn't have to deal with something to get to where they are.
Yeah. I mean, it's not easy, right? Not like if it was easy, everybody would do it.
Yeah, absolutely. So one thing that you say, it's pretty much every podcast, and it's a motto of yours that is very important and something that everyone should listen to, is performance is king. And I know you're a big component of like be the best at where you are. And when I was going through this data, there was 2 situations I found that were pretty unique and interesting for players that kind of made it from almost nowhere, essentially. So the first one I found is Alex Nedeljkovic, goalie for the San Jose Sharks. Not having a good start out of the gates, but that doesn't count. Really for a decent amount. Nedeljkovic went from playing 9 games for the Metro Moose in the NA3HL. In the same season, he moved up to the OHL, played 26 games, won 19 games. Like, the NA3 to the OHL is a massive, massive jump. And I don't think that's happening unless he is dominating where he is.
Yeah, you can't keep a good man down, right? Like, but one of the reasons, like, performance is king, right? Like, one of the reasons is that nobody could ever take your performance away from you. It can't be argued with. There's no way to argue with performance. And you hear these sayings, the cream rises to the top, you can't keep a good man down. These are sayings for a reason, right? Like, you know, at a certain point, even if you're at maybe a less than ideal level, or maybe not where you should be, or maybe you got cut from a team and you shouldn't have, or whatever, right? All these different things that you could file under life's not fair. You can correct it all very quickly with performance, and, you know, sometimes quicker than others, but, you know, typically you can't keep a good man down. And there's a perfect example of a guy going pretty much from the bottom to the top. And, you know, I mean, I've experienced it too. Like, even, you know, a couple of players that I've helped out, like I had 2 guys in one season that went from the, you know, bottom level of the USPHL to, they went to camp in the Quebec Major Junior League. They wound, you know, they didn't make the team, but they were there in training camp. Like, they were there in camp. They got their opportunity in rookie camp or training camp, whatever they were in. You know, it was many years ago now. But they got their shot.
Yeah. This kid got a shot and ran with it. He had a .933 save percentage in NA3, goes to the OHL. You'd think that dip a dramatic amount. Like, that's a ridiculous jump into a very high level. He had 19 wins and a .923 save percentage with a 2.28 goals against average in the OHL from the NA3.
Yeah. I mean,
took advantage of an opportunity.
Yeah, and what happened? Now he's in the NHL.
Yeah.
Right. So the same thing holds true the whole way. Goes to the NA3, dominates, goes up, dominates again, goes up. It's a simple thing to see, right? You got to dominate.
Yeah.
Dominate.
And speaking of domination, this brings me to my next guy. It's a forward that I thought this was pretty incredible. Remember the Empire Junior Hockey League?
Oh yeah. That was Don Kernan's old league. So Don's the commissioner of the FPHL. I do the FPHL Beyond the Glass podcast. Don's the commissioner of that league. Yeah, that's his old league.
Look at you connecting the dots here.
Oh,
Thank you, Don. So the Empire was Junior B hockey. Junior B hockey. This particular player went from the Empire to the U.S. national team. Now, in the Empire, he played 40 games and had 101 points. But he was playing Junior B hockey, and the following season went to NTDP. And behind him in the Empire, in scoring, was Connor Garland, plays for the Vancouver Canucks, and Jack Eichel, everyone knows who Jack Eichel is. And we cannot forget the most important player that is in that quad of stars in our good friend Sean Fleming, who played for Nichols and is a tremendous golfer now.
Oh yeah. Oh, Flem.
Oh, joking aside, we bust Flem all the time for being in between Alex Tuck, Connor Garland, and Jack Eichel. But Tuck went from the Junior B Empire League to the NHL or to the national program. Now he's playing the NHL, and he's a prominent player in the NHL too. Like, he's a star with the Buffalo Sabres.
I mean, Connor Garland, it's one of Leo's guys, Leo from Moncton Wildcats, who's on the show time to time. Connor's one of his guys. Yeah,
and look at the opportunity the three of those guys took. Right.
Yeah.
They're playing junior league. Now they're all in the NHL.
I mean, sorry, guys.
No, they're stars in their own right. They dominated where they were. I didn't know them personally, but I'm sure they weren't complaining or barking that they were playing junior B hockey. They were just where they were and playing the best hockey they could with the situation they were had, and it works out.
Yeah. Just dominating. And, I mean, and guys, like, like that's the one thing for you guys that stays true all the way to the top is performance is king. Like, just, that's all. Like, you want to move up, prove to a team at a higher level that you could help them win games. That's pretty much it. That's all these coaches want. Help them win games. Prove that to them. They're going to take an interest in you. And really, that's kind of the one, if you don't, the best players typically move up every level. That's kind of the one and only thing that you can count on in this game, all the way up to the top, even at the NHL level, right? Like, the bottom players in the NHL this year won't be in the NHL next year. It'll be the top players from Major, Junior, NCAA, American Hockey League, Europe, right? The top guys at every level typically go up. The bottom guys at every level, they're typically done. And that's kind of the one and only thing that you can really count on in this game, all the way to the top. And, and what's nice about it, the thing that, performance, the thing that matters most, it's really the only thing that's in your control too, guys. So lucky for you, the thing that matters most is in your control. And it's really, and again, to say it another way, the only thing that's really in your control, lucky for you, is the thing that matters most. So performance is king. Perform. Yeah.
That's your motto. And I think it's very simple. Obviously, you have to execute, but it's just a simple process.
Yeah, and its simplest form: prove to a coach at a higher level that you can help him win games. And that's why our season this year for Season Pass is called Performance King. Season Pass, our free rewards program. Don't forget, if you guys are listening to these episodes and you can get points simply for listening to these episodes, you could sign up for free at swanhockey.io, join Season Pass. And you will be able to get the streaming rewards for, like I said, for listening to these episodes. So yeah, check that out. And don't forget, hit us up in the Discord. Let us know what you think. Weigh in, give us your opinion. Serps, I know you have a big Jonas Brothers concert coming up. So I know you probably got to brush up on some song lyrics tonight.
You don't want to hear me let it rip. I've been called the song of our generation before, and when you put the Jonas Brothers on, I find another year.
They're one of those all right. Year 3000's pretty good. When I first started listening to that in the gym, I'm like, all right, I think I can get behind this song. And it might have a couple other songs too, that like when you listen to them, you're like, oh, I didn't know this was Jonas Brothers. It's actually a pretty good song.
So, listen, in all honesty, I never listened to the Jonas Brothers when I was younger. They're from Jersey, had no idea, didn't know any of this. Met the wife, she loved it. Yeah, they're from, I think, Wyckoff. So wife loved Jonas Brothers, always listened to them, and I just couldn't get into it. It wasn't my thing. And then all of a sudden I'm working for the Preds, I'm in the office, and the song Cool, it was one of their new songs, whatever it was, and my buddy Higgy just kept playing it, and he just goes, Serps, you're going to love this song. He played it probably 35 times in the office, to the point where I'm like, this is actually pretty kick-ass. And then it turned over to like, I'm basically the fourth Jonas brother, because I know all this.
I'm the Jonas cousin.
I am cousin Jonas. I just don't look as some of those guys might, but Yeah, I'm basically Jonas Serps, Encyclopedia Serps, Jonas Serps. We got a big day tomorrow. Got to rest the vocal cords and the pipes so I can make sure everyone can hear me.
Love it. What happened with that guy? Remember the one time at Bridgestone, you were telling me that you were at the Jonas Brothers concert, and then there was some guy waiting outside the bathroom or something. What happened with that?
Yeah. So this was my first Jonas Brothers concert. It was an outdoor venue. I think it was right after COVID. And I was pissed off because the Giants were playing that. It was a Thursday night. Giants were playing Thursday night. There's no internet there. I can't keep track of the scores. I'm just aggravated that I'm going to be there. So before the show, we got to go to the bathroom. I'm just standing out there waiting for the wife. And this dude with a beer just looks at me and goes, "Almost done, man." And that's it. That's all he said. I shook my head in acknowledgement. We went our separate ways. And I'm sure that guy had a great night as much as I did.
Yeah, I was going to say, you're probably at the end of the night, probably like, I hope that guy doesn't see me having a good time.
Yeah. Man, if I had a sign, I definitely would have wrote a poster just like, "Hey, what's the Giants score?" Maybe somebody would have gave me something, but it was a tough night, but it ended up having a great time. So, joke's on me at the end of the day.
Well, you have a killer time there.
Oh, it's gonna be electric. I'm gonna be fired up. Definitely gonna have to stretch beforehand because I'll be jumping a little bit.
Oh yeah.
I think All American Rejects are opening up for them too, which would be pretty sweet.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, so it should be a good time. I gotta play it cool. Make sure the wife doesn't know how jacked up I am to go. But
yeah. You gotta play it right. This way, she owes you one for going to a Jonas Brothers concert.
Yeah, absolutely. No, it's an anniversary. Yeah. I know how much you enjoy Brothers. Yeah. This is for you. Definitely not.
This is for you. Yeah.
Yeah. Definitely not.
Yeah, inside you can be bopping and everything, and the music's in your bones. But on the outside, supporting loving husband here for you.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's gonna be electric. I'm pretty fired for it.
Yeah, no, that's great. Well,
luckily I got an hour drive to work tomorrow, so I can. One's gonna be around. I got an hour drive to work tomorrow. You remember the scene in White Chicks when Terry Crews pulls up to the car and he's blasting the Jonas Brothers tomorrow going to work.
I always confuse that scene for the one where he in Click. Remember he pulls up next to Adam Sandler?
I've never, or if I've seen Click, it was many, many moons ago, and I don't remember.
Yeah, you were right. You had it right with White Chicks. I think so. I don't know. I'm not sure. I think. But yeah, he also does something similar in Click, which is pretty funny.
Yeah, but that's gonna be me tomorrow. Absolutely bumping.
Oh, well, I'm jacked up for you.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thanks for the confidence and the shout out. Now everyone knows I'm a Jonas cousin.
Jonas cousin. Hey, listen, there's probably a handful of Jonas cousins listening to this that they're gonna
listen.
Hey, there's probably multiple people that are all giving the nod right now. Yep, Jonas cousin, man.
I bought it too. Just embrace it at this point.
Yeah.
So,
exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it. Well, this is awesome. Thank you for doing this, and thank you for whipping up the statistics. Like, that was a very big surprise. I mentioned it to you once on the phone at like 8:00 in the morning, and then by noon we had some statistics.
Yeah, had a little free time, got into a nice little project, had some fun, learned a lot of things, still a lot of information to digest. But yeah, no, I enjoyed it and kind of learned some things myself.
Yeah, no, it was, same here. It was awesome. So, but yeah, all right, guys, that's going to be it for today. Until next time, I will see you in the Discord. Serps, thanks again.
Absolutely.
And
thanks for having me.
Yeah.
And
we got to do it again.
Want everybody that I'm a sucker for you, and to have a good one.
Have a good one. All right, guys. Peace out.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Swan Hockey Podcast. We remind you that season pass points are available to listeners. For more information, please visit www.swanhockey.io. Until next time.